water rushed through the hull. The hatch was sealed. Two men who'd expected a routine patrol were now trapped inside a sinking vessel, plunging into darkness with no way to call for help. But the submarine wasn't the real danger. What waited at the surface was far worse. This is how it happened. Brendan Cole was a 12-year veteran of the Coastal Patrol. His junior partner, John Reeves, was 24, barely a year out of training, sharp but restless. They were running a routine sweep when John spotted it first. Brendan, 2 o'clock, you see that? A metallic blue shape sat low on the water, 300 meters out, almost the same shade as the ocean. Brendan checked the radar. Nothing. No blip, no signature. A vessel clearly sat there, but their system said otherwise. Captain Herrera raised his binoculars. The craft was unlike anything in their logs. No flag, no markings, no movement on deck. Just a handful of narrow windows and an unnatural stillness. Standard boarding protocol, Herrera ordered. Brendan, take John. Check-ins every 5 minutes on Channel 6. Miss one, and we pull you out. Up close, the vessel was bigger than they'd estimated. Easily 60 feet. The hull was seamless, no rivets, no weld lines, as if poured from a single mold. John knocked on it. The sound was dull and heavy, swallowed instantly. That's not standard steel, John muttered. One entry point. A single circular hatch on the top deck with a locking wheel in the center. Brendan pressed his ear against it. Complete silence. We have to open it, Brendan said. The wheel resisted, then gave way with a metallic groan. Stale, cold air rushed out. A steel ladder descended into total darkness. Captain, we're descending, Brendan radioed. They climbed down into a narrow corridor lined with pipes and condensation-streaked walls. The air was cold with a sharp chemical smell. No crew, no personal effects. Nothing. No one's here, John whispered. So who was driving it? Brendan tried to radio their findings. Static. John tried his. Dead air. Before either could react, a deep metallic creak echoed from above, followed by a heavy, decisive thud. The hatch had closed. John scrambled up the ladder, pounding the hatch with both fists. It wouldn't budge, sealed by some mechanism they couldn't see. "Open the hatch," John shouted, his voice cracking. "John, stop." Brendan kept his voice level. "Panicking doesn't get us out. We find another way." On the cutter, Herrera watched through binoculars as the hatch shut. He grabbed the radio. No response. Their signal was gone. Then something impossible happened. The blue vessel began to sink, not capsizing, but descending straight down, evenly, deliberately. Within 60 seconds, the ocean closed over it without a ripple. Inside, Brendan felt it. A subtle pressure shift, a gentle stomach-dropping pull. Water streaked across the narrow windows, green, then dark, then black. "This isn't a boat," Brendan said quietly. "It's a submarine." Everything made sense now. The radar invisibility, the seamless hull designed to deflect sonar, the signal-blocking interior. This was purpose-built, military-grade stealth technology. But for what? They explored forward and found a central compartment with a main console. Heavy analog buttons, toggle switches, exposed wiring. 1980s-era controls inside a cutting-edge shell. Someone had retrofitted advanced stealth technology onto an aging submarine chassis. A cheap, deniable platform wrapped in an expensive disguise. Nothing responded to their inputs. The vessel ran on an automated program with preset coordinates. They were passengers. John slumped against the wall. What if whoever built this is waiting at the other end? "Then we deal with that when it comes." John pointed at the far wall. Behind a tangle of pipes, a heavy steel door sat flush against the frame. They pushed with their combined weight. Nothing. Then John spotted a small black button recessed at the base, nearly invisible against the dark metal. He pressed it. A faint click, a hydraulic hiss. The door cracked open. Behind it, a cargo hold packed floor to ceiling with hundreds of uniform rectangular packages wrapped in dark plastic and foil. Brendan picked one up. Dense. Maybe 2 kilograms. He didn't need to open it. He'd been on enough interdiction operations to know exactly what this was. "Don't touch anything else," Brendan said. "Remember everything you see." Then the vibration returned. This time, they were ascending. "We hide." behind the console. Don't breathe. The submarine surfaced. The hatch opened. Three large men descended and began hauling packages up the ladder with rehearsed efficiency. Not a single word spoken. 32 minutes. 20 trips. Then gone. The hatch left open. Brendan waited 2 full minutes, then climbed out. Cold sea air hit him. They were inside a massive structure, 4 colossal steel pillars supporting an oil rig platform. But there were no derricks, no drilling equipment. The rig was a shell, another disguise. They climbed the service ladder to the main deck. Workers in hard hats moved between shipping containers. Forklifts rumbled. It looked legitimate from a distance, which was exactly the point. Hidden behind a container, they watched the main event. An older man, mid-60s, silver-haired, wearing a dark overcoat, stood motionless at the center. A worker placed packages at his feet. The man drew a folding knife and slit one open. White powder clung to the blade. He nodded. Another package. Thick bricks of cash and plastic wrap. Brendan's jaw tightened. The submarine was an automated delivery vehicle running preset routes between coastal waters and this rig, which sat in international waters beyond any patrol jurisdiction. Drugs out, cash in. An enormous pipeline operating for God knows how long. Until now. We need to shut this down, Brendan whispered. He pointed across the platform to a door marked Operations Control. That room has communications equipment. We get inside, lock the door, and broadcast a distress signal. Someone will hear us. There are dozens of them. We're unarmed. We don't need weapons. We need a radio. They timed their movement between the workers' rhythms, sprinting behind forklifts, pressing flat against containers. Step by step, they crossed the platform. The operations control door was unlocked. No one expected uninvited guests. They slipped inside. Brendan threw the deadbolt. The room had camera monitors, a communications console, and a control panel with labeled switches. One red lever read, Submarine Dock, Power Supply. John pulled it. A deep mechanical hum below them wound down and died. The submarine was disabled. Brendan found an open radio frequency and spoke clearly. Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. This is Coastal Patrol Officer Brendan Cole, transmitting from an unregistered oil rig platform. He read the coordinates off the navigational display. Large-scale narcotics trafficking operation. 2 officers on site, unarmed, secured in operations control. Requesting immediate response. Static. Then Officer Cole, this is the Coast Guard cutter Resolute. We copy your mayday. Assets dispatched. ETA 55 minutes. Hold your position. John dropped into a chair, hands shaking. 55 minutes. We can do 55 minutes. It took the criminals 12 minutes to realize something was wrong. At 15, the pounding started. Heavy fists. Shouting. Then tools. A crowbar, a cutting torch. Orange light flickered under the door. Scorched metal filled the air. But the door was blast-rated steel, designed for emergencies. It held. When the helicopter appeared on the horizon, followed by a Coast Guard cutter, Brendan watched on the monitors as the platform erupted into chaos. Workers scattered. The older man stood motionless, staring at the approaching vessels, then walked calmly toward the platform's edge, where there was nowhere left to go. Armed teams swept the platform. One by one, suspects dropped to their knees. The older man was last, kneeling slowly, eyes fixed on the control room door. Brendan slid back the deadbolt and stepped out. Captain Herrera reached them first. You two, Herrera said, his voice rough. You have any idea what you just did? Brendan looked at John. John looked at Brendan. We opened a hatch, Brendan said. The operation dismantled that day was one of the largest maritime narcotics networks ever uncovered in the region. Over 3 years of operation, an estimated $2 billion in product. The stealth submarine was one of at least 4 in the network. The others were never found. Brendan and John received commendations for bravery. John requested a desk assignment for 2 weeks. Brendan was back on patrol Monday morning, coffee in hand, watching the water. Some mornings, when the light hit the ocean at a certain angle, he still looked for a flash of metallic blue. What would you have done? Gone down that ladder or walked away? Once that hatch sealed shut, would you have kept your nerve, or would panic have taken over? Drop your answer in the comments. If you made it this far, hit subscribe. More stories like this are coming.